President Trump honoring the heroic pilot and crew of that Southwest Airlines flight that lost an engine mid-flight just days ago. The president praising Navy veteran and pilot Tammy Jo Schultz, who landed the plane safely despite that blown engine and a blown-out window. The president also paying tribute to Jennifer Riordan, the passenger who died on board the flight, and the heroic passenger who tried to save her. Most watched, most trusted, most grateful you spent the evening with us. Good night from Washington. I'm Shannon Bream.
It is Wednesday, May 2nd, and this is Fox and Friends First. Happening right now at 4 a.m. here on the East Coast, two major Mueller leaks in just 2 days, as Republicans set their sights on the man at the helm of the investigation.
And I think they should understand by now the department is going to be extorted.
So who is the leaker? The brand new developments while you were sleeping.
It's probably going to be announced over the next couple of days, location and date.
And the stage is set for the president's high-stakes sit-down. What we just learned about his face-to-face with Kim Jong-un. And thrill seekers get more than they bargained for. Stuck 100 feet above the ground for hours. Fox and Friends First starts right now. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be singing, but I would be saying, rescue me if I was 100 feet up and it took hours to get me down. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday morning, midway through the week. I'm Heather Childers. Lots of news to get for you this morning. Straight ahead to our top story. Let's begin there. A showdown is brewing between President Trump's lawyers and Robert Mueller. Leaks now show that the special counsel is considering a subpoena to get the president to talk. But GOP lawmakers also threatening to impeach Mueller's boss, Rod Rosenstein. Todd Pyro joins us now to break it all down. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Heather. A lot going on as always. Special counsel Robert Mueller apparently told President Trump's legal team that he could subpoena the president to appear before a grand jury if Trump refuses an interview. That threat from a March meeting explained by Trump's former lead attorney, John Dowd. As you'll recall, Dowd resigned weeks later amid a dispute over how to answer Mueller's interview request. This latest twist comes a day after Fox News obtained a list of questions that Trump's legal team believes Mueller wants to ask. The possible questions cover Trump's interactions with key figures in the Russia saga, James Comey, Jeff Sessions, Mike Flynn, Michael Cohen, along with topics including a Moscow real estate deal, meetings with Vladimir Putin, and any back channels set up by Jared Kushner to talk to Russia before the inauguration. As you might imagine, President Trump not happy with the leak, tweeting, quote, "So disgraceful that the questions concerning the Russian witch hunt were leaked to the media. No questions on collusion. Oh, I see. You have a made-up phony crime, collusion that never existed, and an investigation begun with illegally leaked classified information. Nice." End quote. Dowd denies he is the leaker, although apparently the White House is skeptical because the leak frames Dowd in a pretty heroic role. Meantime, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein dismissed reports that House Republicans are mulling articles of impeachment against him.
There have been people who have been making threats privately and publicly against me for quite some time, and I think they should understand by now the Department of Justice is not going to be extorted. We're going to do what's required by the rule of law, and any kind of threats that anybody makes are not going to affect the way we do our job.
A group of GOP lawmakers led by House Freedom Caucus Chair Mark Meadows have reportedly drafted 8 articles of impeachment against Rosenstein.
Well, I know that a lot of people have mixed opinions on this. They were talking about it all night last night. Byron York was one of them, and he said that there's not a whole lot of new information in these questions. Listen.
There's not a whole lot new in these questions. When you look at some of the areas, Michael Flynn, Comey, Sessions, and collusion, it doesn't indicate that Mueller has come up with some completely new area of inquiry that we didn't know about before. Actually, this is pretty much what we have been talking about for the last year or so. So from that point, it seems to me that the Trump people should be somewhat relieved in the sense that we seem to know everything that he is talking about.
Good Morning Joe segment. Okay, relieved as to the content, but as I've been saying throughout, I almost would say the content doesn't matter. This is all about a perjury trap for the President of the United States to catch him in something a la Martha Stewart.
Right.
That's the focus. That's what they're going for. The President needs to make sure these questions are answered in written form, not in something oral.
Which is why some people are saying they believe that this came from somewhere, someone that supports President Trump, because it shows why the president wouldn't agree to go and be questioned by Mueller. But at the same time, it also shows that you have a person and you're going after a crime versus having a crime going after a person, which is the way it's supposed to be.
It's dirty. It's definitely dirty pool, but this is how the government gets people. And that's what they're apparently trying to do to President Trump in this situation. To your point, Heather, I wouldn't be surprised if this leak was from the White House, even though everybody's denying that, to try to get him, hey, President, you really need to answer these questions written.
Or someone trying to make it look like it's the White House.
So many layers.
A tangled weave. All right, thank you so much, Todd. Well, we have some other stories that we are following for you. The U.S. soldier gunned down in Afghanistan on Monday was part of the Pentagon's counterterrorism mission. A 22-year-old Army specialist, Gabriel Condé, was killed outside Kabul on his first deployment. His parents in Colorado say that he defined the word bravery.
He was called to be a warrior.
I feel very proud of who he is. He's the kind of son that any mother would be proud to have.
Well, Condé joined the Army in 2015. This marks the second U.S. combat death in Afghanistan this year. And our prayers with his family. Well, a Russian fighter jet buzzes a U.S. spy plane, taunting it over the Baltic Sea. Defense officials saying that the Russian jet performed a safe but unprofessional intercept, coming within 20 feet of the U.S. Navy aircraft. However, American pilots tell officials that they never actually felt threatened. Now, this is the first incident between Russian and American military aircraft since January, when a Russian fighter jet came within 5 feet of a U.S. Navy spy plane. Well, the Trump administration now facing some big foreign policy developments, to say the very least, on two major fronts. Iran firing back at Israel over its nuclear claims, while John Kerry defends the Obama-era deal. This, as plans for that historic face-to-face meeting with Kim Jong-un could be revealed at any time. And Griff Jenkins is live for us in Washington, D.C. with all of the details. Very busy place.
It is, Heather. Good morning. There's a lot on the president's plate, and according to him, we may soon learn details of that North Korean summit.
We're setting up meetings right now, and I think it's probably going to be announced over the next couple of days, location and date. The main thing is to get it done.
This is the deadline for President Trump to make a decision on the Iran nuclear deal. It's just 10 days away as Iran's foreign minister is firing back at Netanyahu's revelations of that archive of stolen plans. The minister's spokesman calling Netanyahu an infamous liar who has had nothing to offer except lies and deceits. And Minister Zarif taking to Twitter to take a shot at Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, saying on 4/12, Pompeo testified no need to worry about nixing JCPOA as Iran not racing to a weapon before the deal, nor would turn to race to weapon after. Now says time to revisit question of whether Iran can be trusted to enrich any nuclear material. So which one is it? And Iran's foreign minister isn't the only one tweeting. Former Secretary of State John Kerry, who led the negotiations on the deal, defended it, saying it's working and warned against pulling out of the deal, here saying every detail Prime Minister Netanyahu presented yesterday was every reason the world came together to apply years of sanctions and negotiate the Iran nuclear agreement because the threat was real and had to be stopped. It's working. That's why Israeli security experts are speaking out. As for the incoming Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo praised the staff at the department he'll soon lead.
You're patriots and great Americans, and because you want to be an important part of America's face to the world, my mission will be to lead you. The United States diplomatic corps needs to be in every corner, every stretch of the world, executing missions on behalf of this country.
And a little later today, around 11 a.m., Heather, the president will swear in Mike Pompeo at the State Department.
All right, and we will be there covering that as well. Thank you so much, Griff. Great to see you. Well, any country exempt from new metal tariffs will face some tough restrictions like quotas. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro says that it's a matter of national security. And this decision, it comes after President Trump postponed imposing steel and aluminum tariffs on the European Union, Canada, and Mexico this week. Agreements must now be worked out by June 1st. And President Trump honoring the heroic crew of that deadly Southwest flight at the White House. The commander-in-chief paying special tribute to Captain Tammy Jo Schultz, the former Navy pilot who executed an emergency landing.
Captain Schultz, I especially want to commend you for your life-saving actions. It's everybody's talking about it. They're still talking about it. They'll be talking about it for a long time. The actions of the crew and passengers of Southwest Flight 1380 show the great character of our nation. We're very, very proud of them, and God bless you all.
The president also honoring Jennifer Reardon. She was the mother of two who lost her life after being nearly sucked out of a window when an engine exploded. The incident is still under investigation. And today, the president will once again lay down the welcome mat for the best teachers in America. He will meet and speak with teachers of the year from all over the country. The winners selected by a panel of judges in each state or U.S. territory. And before heading to the White House, the teachers met with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. My sister happens to be the best in the country, my personal opinion. Well, the time now is about 10 minutes after the top of the hour. And check your pet at the gate, the airline that just banned dozens of dogs and cats from flying their friendly skies.
We're hoping that a federal judge will rule correctly that what President Obama did was unconstitutional and unlawful, and therefore end DACA.
And DACA back on the docket, what the new legal showdown means for dreamers. And losing liquor to cut calories. The diet vodka about to hit store shelves. Tornadoes of the year, carving this path of destruction. This is across the Midwest. The dark funnel cloud touching down in Oklahoma near the Kansas border. More twisters expected this morning as the dangerous system pushes through Kansas and into Nebraska. So be aware of this. Powerful winds, golf ball sized hail sweeping across Iowa. Meteorologist Janice Dean will have more in the next hour. And as the caravan of migrants demand asylum in the U.S., Texas now leading a pack of states in suing the Trump administration to force an end to DACA. Now, it is a plan that could throw another wrench into an already very messy legal situation. Jackie Ibanez joins us now with that story. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Heather. The Trump administration tried ending the Obama-era program, which protects young illegal immigrants, also known as dreamers, who came to the U.S. as children, but was blocked by 3 federal judges. Now, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Nebraska, South Carolina, and West Virginia join Texas. They're trying to force a change. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says former President Obama unlawfully started the DACA program back in 2012, which protects nearly 700,000 immigrants.
We're hoping that a federal judge will rule correctly, as they did last time on our DAPA lawsuit, that what President Obama did was unconstitutional and unlawful, and therefore end DACA and force either Congress to act or not act, but it should not be done unilaterally by a president.
While the future of DACA waits in limbo, so does the caravan on migrants on the border. So far, 28 of them have been cleared and are being held in the U.S., while more than 100 wait to hear their fate.
Everything in our country is very dangerous, and what they're looking for is well-being for them where they're not in danger.
We've all lived the same experiences. We're all running from the same violence. I've talked to some of them, and we're all the same. We're looking for a better life.
Vice President Mike Pence says the caravan is exposing the weaknesses of U.S. immigration law.
This situation is a direct result of our weak immigration law and our porous border. But under this president, we will uphold our laws, defend our sovereignty, and we will protect the borders of the United States of America.
As for ending DACA, this latest lawsuit could potentially move the issue to the Supreme Court.
All right. Thank you very much, Jackie. Appreciate it. Great to have you with us. Well, banks and credit card companies now exploring ways to track your gun purchases. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that companies are considering creating a new credit card code for gun dealers. It would be similar to how the code works for restaurants and department stores. Also being considered tracking what types of guns are being purchased and how often. Banks could potentially use that data to restrict purchases at certain businesses. Well, United Airlines will soon let pets fly in cargo again, but they'll have some much tougher restrictions. The decision comes after a series of high-profile animal incidents that have happened this year you're aware of. Of course, that includes this French bulldog that died on a flight in March. 25 dogs and cat breeds will be banned from the cargo hold for health reasons that may make it unsafe for them to fly. Animals will also be banned from traveling to 4 airports this summer over concerns of high temperatures. Well, the time now is about 17 minutes after the top of the hour, and liberals triggered over this new campaign ad. Look.
Jake asked why I was running for governor.
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
Well, the Republican candidates running for Georgia governor taking some heat for supporting our Second Amendment. Brian Kemp joins us live with a message to his critics.
Crumbs that they are giving. Should they mow the grass so that people can't hide in it? Bowl of doggy do, put a cherry on top and call it a chocolate sundae.
So have you heard enough from Nancy Pelosi? Well, buckle up, brace for more. Carly Shimkus is here with her bold new prediction.
Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay?
First, a roller coaster glitch leaves riders stuck upside down. Look at this. They were stuck there for 2 hours. More than 40 passengers left dangling. They were about 100 feet in the air after this ride at Universal Studios in Japan stalled out. Rescue crews eventually getting everyone off safely. That's the good news. Park officials say that the emergency stop happened after a safety device detected a malfunction. And it's supposed to do that, I guess, but wow. And sheriff's deputies put their lives and their cruisers on the line to stop this high-speed chase that was led by armed carjackers. This chase actually went through several Florida cities before finally ending. Police say that 2 males, one of them was a juvenile, stole the Jaguar SUV from a woman and then they just took off. They were arrested and a gun was found inside. And that's how those chases always end. They should know that by now. So step aside. Not so fast. Despite calls from within her own party to move on, Nancy Pelosi says that she's ready to make a run for Speaker. Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115, here with the reaction online. And
Hey,
there's
good morning.
always online reaction.
Yeah, despite those calls to give up her leadership role, like you said, even from members of her own party, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has her sights set on the Speaker's gavel. Now, she told the Boston Globe, "We will run. I will run for Speaker. I feel confident about it, and my members do too." Now, despite the anti-Pelosi sentiment that's growing among Democrats, this is music to Republicans' ears. Trevor on Twitter says Nancy Pelosi is who all Republicans, no matter where they are in the country, run again. It is time for new Democratic leadership. Another Twitter user says Republicans can only hope. And Go Trump on Twitter says she makes the right look better and better. Give her the job and let the memes begin. So I wonder who that guy voted for.
Yeah.
But, you know, Nancy Pelosi says that it's important that she be elected Speaker of the House because she doesn't want 5, these are her words, white guys at the table.
Ah, interesting. Yes. All right, so let's move on to one of my favorite shows, Fixer Upper, and there's some controversy going on.
Yeah, well, this headline would be enough to make any parent's blood boil. A headline from a USA Today opinion article said this: "Sorry, but someone has to say it. Chip and Joanna Gaines do not put family first." That is by author Daryl Austin. Well, Chip Gaines responded to him directly saying, "I don't know Daryl, and he clearly doesn't know me, but for the record, if there is ever a need with my family first, I'll shut this circus down so fast it will make your head spin. But Joe and I believe with God anything is possible, including having an amazing family and a career you love." What a great response, right? So many people chiming in on that. Abby says, "So much hate in this world. Can't people stand to see a successful, happy family?" And Troy says, "Daryl, Daryl, Daryl." That is one sad, unnecessary article. I think he summed it up quite well, right?
Yeah, I love their farm. I always,
and the whole everything that they stand for is family,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So, and she's pregnant now with her 5th.
That's right. So the family's growing. Daryl, sorry, it's not happening.
All right. So finally, this woman, her car broke down, and she had no idea who helped her out.
Yeah,
someone special.
That was a feel-good story on this
Wednesday morning. A Tennessee woman was having car trouble. She needed to have her car rebooted, jump-started is the proper word. So she stopped two guys at a gas station. She had no idea who they were, and it turned out to be Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke and Senator Lamar Alexander. How about that?
Nice.
Isn't that neat? She said that, you know, they rolled up their sleeves, they helped, and she didn't find out until after the fact that, as to who they were.
So they have another job they could take.
Yeah,
if they leave Washington.
You never know who you're gonna run into,
Absolutely.
especially when you're in need.
Yeah, I think reboot may work with some of the cars these days.
Thank you so much. I was thinking towards the future.
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
That's
I was
right.
following you. Thank you so much, Carly. Appreciate
Thanks a
it.
lot.
Well, the time now is about almost half past the top of the hour, and the Obama administration delivered billions of dollars to Iran as part of the nuclear deal. So where is the money? Where is it? Our next guest says that it was a bad deal from day one, and it's time for President Trump to fix it.
I respect Senator Warren as a U.S. Senator. I just wish she'd take the DNA test.
And the real-life Pocahontas descendant who is now challenging Elizabeth Warren.
So if I get stoned, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition.
Welcome back. Rod Rosenstein firing back over GOP lawmakers who have threatened articles of impeachment against him.
There have been people who have been making threats privately and publicly against me for quite some time, and I think they should understand by now the Department of Justice is not going to be extorted. We're going to do what's required by the rule of law, and any kind of threats that anybody makes are not going to affect the way we do our job.
Well, the lawmakers led by House Freedom Caucus Chair Mark Meadows argue that the Deputy Attorney General is stonewalling their efforts to obtain documents over surveillance of President Trump's 2016 campaign, along with bias in the FBI. And Special Counsel Robert Mueller wants to delay Michael Flynn's sentencing by at least 2 months. According to a court filing, the special counsel's team and attorneys for the former National Security Advisor aren't ready for the hearing, quote, due to the status of the investigation. Flynn, of course, pleaded guilty in December to lying to the FBI as part of the Russian meddling probe. He agreed to cooperate in a plea deal. So with the Mueller probe leaking like a faucet, where should the investigation go from here? Here now to weigh in, President of Security Studies, Jim Hansen. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Heather.
So a couple of big leaks, all of these questions that were leaked regarding questions that were allegedly going to be asked to President Trump. What do you think about all of this?
You know, you asked where the Mueller probe needs to go from here. I think it needs to go home. Mueller hasn't found anything. There is no evidence of the one thing he was given a hunting license to look for, and that is collusion between the president and the Russians in the 2016 election. That didn't happen, so he's not going to find anything. What he's doing now is continuing to hassle anybody who knows the president, and he's found some of them guilty of some petty crimes, but none of it based on his actual job.
What about this list of proposed questions? We now know that the topics were supposed to include Michael Flynn, James Comey, Jeff Sessions, coordination with Russia. I think it was about 52 questions total. And if you take a look at the questions, they really aren't specific. So they seem to be, for lack of a better word, fishing.
Well, they are absolutely a fishing expedition, and it shows that. The president should take this list and basically cross it out and say, you don't have anything warranting my time. I know he wants to confront his accuser and confront this, Inspector Javert, who's been hassling him for a year, but he needs to remember that the presidency is well above Mueller, and go ahead and not talk to him. Tell him he's got 30 days to drop any indictments he may have, and then pack his bags and go.
What about this leak that came out of this threat from Mueller to subpoena President Trump? What if that happens?
that's something that should absolutely positively be ignored. The presidency is he's the chief executive of our government. Mueller is a contract employee of the executive branch. If Congress wants to deal with this, they can go ahead and drop some articles of impeachment if there is a crime. But the president does not jump just because some special prosecutor says to.
All right, so let's talk about this second topic, the money and Iran. This is what I was thinking about yesterday when Benjamin Netanyahu came out and he talked about all this evidence that they have that Iran has not been following the deal. Not surprising to a lot of folks that they were supposed to be following. President Obama actually handed a lot of money over. People allege it was funneled directly to terrorists. So what about this money, this amount of money? Where is it now?
It is in the hands of some of the worst actors in the entire region. Hezbollah got it. Hamas got it. All the bad guys who Iran uses as their proxies to cause trouble in the region got paid. You know, Obama made the worst deal anyone's made in modern history. He didn't just get his lunch money taken by the mullahs on the playground. He gave away his parents' mortgage and our security. President Trump is right to kill this deal.
So there was this $1.7 billion cash payment that was made to Iran by the Obama administration. You were just talking about. Then there was $150 billion in unfrozen Iranian assets thanks to the Iran deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And all this money never made it to anything useful in Iran. You know, the people in Iran still can't buy a dozen eggs for less than, I don't know how many rials. Their currency's collapsing. The mullahs and the Grand Ayatollah have been shoveling this money both to their terrorist proxies and to their offshore bank accounts. All Obama did was make things worse. President Trump needs to take this deal out on the East Lawn, burn it, and maybe he, John Bolton, and Sarah Sanders can get around it and make some s'mores to make it something useful.
All right, Jim, thank you so much. Appreciate your opinions. You're definitely heated up this morning. Thank you. Love it. Have a great day. Well, Russian forces, let's talk about that, using a battle bot to fight off ISIS soldiers. That's an armed robot fitted with a gun and a camera controlled by a soldier carrying out a raid on suspected terrorists. Well, counter-terror forces say that 11 jihadists were killed. Guns, bullets, knives, grenades, and a homemade bomb. All of that was found at the scene. And UN Ambassador Nikki Haley warned that she would take names of countries that don't have our back, remember?
It is outrageous to see so many countries who we support go against us at the UN. We're watching their votes, and yes, we're taking names.
Well, a new State Department report now detailing exactly who is in our corner and who isn't. The findings reveal UN member states only voted with the U.S. 31% of the time last year, and that's down 10% from 2016. In a statement, Haley says, quote, "This is not an acceptable return on our investment. American taxpayers pay for 22% of the UN budget." And Fox News live in West Virginia. Did you see this? That's where the Republican Senate primary debate became a sparring match, to say the least. Congressman Evan Jenkins, State Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, and businessman Don Blankenship all battling over credentials and who's more aligned with President Trump.
I'm actually the only one with a conservative record of results. We've gone after Washington a lot harder than these guys ever could.
Conservatives don't go out and take campaign contributions from Planned Parenthood.
Who is going to lead the Senate to support the President Trump agenda?
I'm the only candidate on the stage who not only has voted for Donald Trump at the convention and in the Electoral College.
It was like, who has the most MAGA? Well, the three Republicans set to square off in Tuesday's primary. They're vying to unseat Democrat Joe Manchin in November. Well, there's a new bird in the nest, a pair of bald eagles at the National Arboretum in Washington, D.C. Look at that, welcoming this brand new little eaglet. DC-6 is the sixth offspring of her parents, Mr. President and First Lady. The birth live streamed on the DC Eagle Cam. DC-7 is expected to hatch sometime this week. Oh, we got to give that one a new name, not DC-6 and DC-7. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour, and the first casualty, the media outlet that just announced it's done with the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner. A new controversy for the school that took down the American flag after President Trump was elected. And the pro-abortion group that A School is teaming up with to host a summer camp about feminism. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Fox and Friends First. The Hill now becoming the first media outlet, I should say, to bail on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Well, it won't send journalists to next year's event, they say, after the controversy sparked by comedian Michelle Wolf's vicious jokes.
I'm never really sure what to call Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Like, what's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
Well, the Hill owner, Jimmy Finkelstein, released this statement in part, quote, "There's simply no reason for us to participate in something that casts our profession in a poor light. Major changes are needed to the annual event." Wolf has faced bipartisan backlash for making fun of White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, but she refuses to apologize. And some more fallout for Bill Cosby after his conviction on sexual assault charges. Yale University rescinding the comedian's honorary degree given to him in 2003. A Yale spokesman releasing the following statement, in part, quote, "Yale is committed to both the elimination of sexual misconduct and the adherence to due process. We reaffirm that commitment with our action today." And a descendant of the real-life Pocahontas has this message for Senator Elizabeth Warren. Prove your heritage.
I respect Senator Warren as a U.S. Senator. I just wish she'd take the DNA test. And if she took the DNA test, then that would end a lot of this controversy.
Yeah.
And if she was part American Indian, I'd be the first one to welcome her into our heritage.
Well, the Massachusetts Democrat has been accused of claiming a Native American heritage to further her career, which she denies. The controversy leading to the famous Pocahontas nickname given to her by President Trump. Well, Facebook, it is working to move past scandals with some new security features. Tracy Krasko from our sister network, Fox Business, here with how we can apparently wipe out our history now.
Yes, Heather, the new feature is going to be called Clear History. So Facebook is going to let you delete all that information that it's gathered on you from other websites and apps. This, of course, is following that Cambridge Analytica scandal. Many people have been concerned about the collection of their personal data. So this is a response to that. Now, you can kind of think of it as the browser history when you clear that from your computer, a similar thing here. And this is what Mark Zuckerberg said about the new feature. He said, "This is an example of the kind of control we think you should have. It's something privacy advocates have been asking for, and we will work with them to make sure we get it right." So that will be rolling out within the next few months.
And I read yesterday that Facebook is now going to do some sort of dating app to compete with Tinder and those
Yes, they're going to let you opt into kind of a dating profile on Facebook.
I think people were already kind of using it for that anyway. So let's talk about this new vodka. Apparently it has the same great taste, but it's a little easier on your waistline.
Yes, possibly. A little less alcohol content in it. It's got 30%, launching by Ketel One. It's going to be called Ketel One Botanical. They're really doing this to compete with other vodkas like Tito's, handmade vodka, which is made from corn, advertised as gluten-free. So this is rolling out. They're going to be calling it Ketel One Botanical, as I said. They're going to be marketing it as a made-from vodka drink because they can't call it a vodka because it doesn't have that 40% typically that most vodkas have.
Yeah, and also following along the lines of like the Skinny Girl
brand. Something like that.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Tracy.
Thanks.
Well, the time now is almost half past the top of the hour, maybe. And we're going to talk about liberals. And they're taking aim at a gun-toting campaign ad.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, young man interested in one of my daughters. Jake asked why I was running for governor.
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
We're going to get along just fine.
That candidate running for governor in Georgia is firing back at critics. He joins us live up next. Welcome back. Get over it. That's the message from Brian Kemp. He's a Republican candidate for governor in Georgia who is creating some controversy with his campaign ad. Watch.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, young man interested in one of my daughters.
Yes, sir.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said, 1,
Cap government spending.
2,
Take a chainsaw to regulations.
3,
Make Georgia #1 for small business.
and 2 things if you're gonna date one of my daughters.
Respect.
And
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment. Sir.
we're gonna get along just fine.
Well, here now is the man featured in that ad, Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp. Brian, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Heather. Thanks so much for having me on.
So what's been the reaction so far to your ad?
Well, it's been interesting. It's driving the liberal media crazy, but I've been on the road literally all over our great state of Georgia since Friday, when the ad started airing, and people are just, they love the ad. You know, they think it's funny. They know it shows my love for my girls and my family and my appreciation and strong support for the Second Amendment. And people are like, don't back down, keep this up. I'm like, there's no way we're doing that. You know, we're trying to encourage people to share the ad and get our message out, not only about my conservative values, but just being a small business owner as well. And, you know, my message for the campaign for our governor's race.
Yeah, I know that some of the messages have been mixed, though. I did post it on Twitter this morning, and the majority of the responses were positive from the folks that saw it there. This person said, as a proud 2A supporter, and most importantly as a father, I would wholeheartedly support him. That was from Mike Breeden. In terms of the negative response, where did you get your idea for this, and do you think it does send any type of negative message?
Well, I'm sure some people may take it as a negative, but for me, it's been overwhelmingly positive. I've had a record of standing up to the left, to the liberal media in the Secretary of State's office, fighting for keeping our elections secure. If anybody knows anything about elections, they know I've been a fighter. I'm going to be a fighter for the Second Amendment. And I know this state. I know what the people want. They want somebody that's going to stand up for their values, stand up for their family, and for what they believe in. And that's what I'm doing. You know, that's what I've done in my public service. It's what I'm doing in the governor's race, and it's what I do as a father.
Yeah, we can take a look at some of the polling right now for the race. Casey Cagle, who I understand is the lieutenant governor, is in at 41%, and then you're right behind him at 10%. How big of an issue in terms of, you know, percentages is the Second Amendment there in the state of Georgia?
Well, it's very important here in the state of Georgia, and it's not only the Second Amendment's important. It's just we have great values in the state of Georgia. We've got a great business climate. I've been a small business owner for over 30 years. You know, I'm a father of 3 teenage daughters, and I think people are ready for a governor that's going to tell them what they're going to do. They're going to stand up and fight for them every day. I hear that all across our state. It's like, who's out there fighting for us? Who's going to push back? And really hold their principles dear. And I have a record of doing that, not only on the Second Amendment, but other conservative issues. And I'm going to continue to do that as the next governor of this great state.
Who's Jake? Does Jake really date one of your daughters?
You're breaking up on me a little bit, Heather.
I asked who Jake is. Who is Jake?
No, I'm just kidding. You're not really breaking up. We want everybody to know who Jake is. We want people around the country to take a look at this ad. You know, consider helping us out where we can keep it up and keep on fighting. That's our plan.
Okay. All right. And Jake's okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. Good luck in the election. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. Have a great day.
Well, the time now is about 8 minutes until the top of the hour. And About Face, a school ditches plans for modesty ponchos at prom after sparking some backlash about this.
It's a method of shaming, a method of bullying, method of degrading the females.
Well, the school's response to the social media firestorm. But first, belly rubs. It's the only way that one canine officer will start his morning, and it will certainly make yours.